there's not a lot of counters outside of the Sett, really, that can come through. And then, yes, obviously Varus is still up and available, but you can also just pick Ezreal and kind of trade those two off. So yeah, I agree with the Lee Sin pick, but with Sett still being up and available, it wouldn't surprise me to see JDG go for the likes of that pick either.
And I would absolutely love to get this. We do. I'm hoping for it. I mean, we could still get the flexibility for the Lee Sin for LGD, but you gotta expect it's going to Shadow. And that Viego has been that tried and true pick for Kanavi. So really excited to see that come through. This jungle matchup maybe already showing itself with the first 2 picks of the draft. And this would be an interesting one to pick up your ADC here, be able to put LGD maybe on the back foot, as you know, Loken has been exclusively playing the Jhin and the Varus, and he will get the Varus.
Yeah, Varus definitely a champion that's a huge power pick right now, and with them having red side on third, they can always pair it up together with a Tahm Kench or the Braum without having to worry about those two getting banned away. So on the side of LGD, I would expect an Ezreal pickup, just because if you go into the second ban phase, a lot of these other available AD carries is going to get banned out, and there we get it. Ezreal is coming through, and now you have the opportunity. You either go for the likes of Nidalee, who you know is a contested pick, you already have the AD top laner, or you go for support with Lockdown, because you already know that the backline of JDG right now is going to be immobile. Now, if you are to go for a Lockdown support, I am expecting JDG to third pick either Braum or the Tahm Kench, just because it's probably the best response. But right now, you can see already on the side of LGD, lots of target Lockdown here. Good poke from the background with the Ezreal, and then obviously Leona being your key frontliner right now.
And I feel like you still have so many avenues forward with that composition as well, with these last 2 picks that they can lock in. They get the comfort pick for Kramer on the Ezreal, the safe pick as well, but they have the tools to go forward in the early game. That's something we wanted to set up for them. On the other side, JDG actually pull out the Rakan for this one, as LvMao looking to make some quickness in the Rift.
Yeah, definitely. Rakan, a champion we've seen really rise in popularity in the LPL in general, and it used to be a favorable matchup for Leona, but right now Rakan is very much often being picked into Leona. And it does help them with some of that backline dive, it does help them with some CC along the front line, but it also means that there's more pressure onto Loken now to stay alive, as the peel obviously can be strong for Rakan, but then you still lose a big engage tool. Now, junglers have not been picked by either side now, so I'm expecting a few jungle bans. JDG have the luxury that they will most likely be 4th pick in that jungler, saving the counter pick for the 5th pick, unless they're keeping the flex obviously open onto the Viego. That could be for Kanavi. Yeah. We know he's been playing it before. And then you can see LGD, they're like, alright, this might be Kanavi's Viego, we're just going to start off banning these mid laners instead for Yagao.
Yeah, just making sure to keep that solo lane matchup, that mid-jungle duo potentially alive and well, as the Sylas gets banned away by JDG. And as the Udyr had come off as well for JDG, you obviously see where that focus is going, but I do really like the slip-in of the Sylas. I think Sylas is just so good right now with the versatility he brings, and as well with the ulti, being able to steal a lot of usable ultis from LGD so far at least. And Jace is the final ban for LGD themselves.
Yeah, Jace is definitely a champion that's paired up well together, especially with the Varus, where you just become this kind of poke composition that does so much damage, both in 2, but also in 3, where it's just together with the Mirror Mana, together with the penetration you get from the Mythic, and then with the Surreal Discrotch, there's just not much to do about it. But Twisted Fate is actually going to be the 4th pick for Yagao here, and this is going to be opening up the map a lot. This means right now JDG, they're looking to play those side lanes, they're looking to play those skirmishes around level 6 where they can be creating man advantages. Very interesting 4th pick here, and the ball is now onto LGD's favor now, where they can get the counter pick in the mid lane for Xiye to get a favorable matchup.
And I was wondering if they just go for the Diana themselves, because the Diana-Leona combo is so strong. First of all, we got the Cannon Lord here, but we also have the Leona mixing up with the Solar Flare into the Moonfall can be super, super deadly together. And I really think the squishiness on JDG's side is what's standing out to me the most, as Sett gets locked in for LGD.
Yeah, now you can already see pretty good backline dive composition coming out from LGD. Pretty much every champion right now has a dash that can leap forward. And it's definitely going to be looking to expose some of that, especially because right now you see there's not really a tank that has come out from JDG. It's very much brawlers, but not the most tanky ones. And it is actually going to be the Gwen here. I like this. Gwen loves when champions comes running into her. She loves when someone is in the scissors, so she can actually just get the 1000s cut with a passive, so you can get the stack needlework and just utilize that true damage you get in a kit, together with the Rift Maker, which is usually the first item. So I like what we see for both compositions. I think LGDs can be a bit easier to pilot because it's very much about team fighting. It's very much about just pressing your R buttons and running into them, whereas on the side of JDG, it's way more about playing the map. You need to be a bit more calculated with it, but it kind of fits the thematic of JDG.
I was just about to say, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's looking for those big brain potentials here for JDG. They've got to have the execution. They've got the Gwen and the Viego on the same side. You don't see that very often. So really excited to see how JDG can approach this very stacked composition coming out from LGD.
Yeah, now we talked about the jungle matchup here, how they're going to fare up against each other. Viego is definitely one of the strongest brawlers in the early game. The passive is just does amazing work if you start off with a brawl. So it's going to be very interesting to take a look onto the two junglers pathing in the beginning, because they could be looking towards fighting for an early game scuttle if they feel like they have their priority around the lanes. But obviously, we'll have to wait for that until we get in-game LGD versus JDG, the first of many matchups today. It's going to be a long day full of bangers. We've talked about it here, Mazel, and it's actually just been, it's going to be incredibly crazy. I can't wait for this one to start.
The thing that's standing out the most to me right now is the Twisted Fate in the mid lane. I can't wait to see that level 6 mark, see what JDG can accomplish in the side lane, see what kind of advantages that they can find with that TF and the support that you can get in those side lanes. So very different approaches, I feel like, to this first game for both of these teams. But here we are, we have arrived. Summoner's Rift kicking off for the first time of the evening. LGD taking on JDG.
And they do still have some pick potential in that combo as well. You know, the Chains of Corruption, we got the gold card, but you need to be very careful around that. Vision control is going to be key for JDG's composition, as they don't have too much disengage in their composition, whereas on the other side of LGD, still a lot of movement abilities to get out of there. So you can safeguard away on wards with the Lee Sin. Ezreal's got, obviously, the Arcane Shift. So a bit more forgiving onto the side of LGD, and that's something you got to be careful on when you are JDG. But right now, we talked about jungle pathing, how it's going to look like, and it looks like they're both going to be pathing up towards this top side. So depending of the priority we have in the mid lane and in the top side of the map, we could end up having a bit of a skirmish around the top side scuttle here. But in the beginning, it's very much just going to be about farming these level 6 here, especially for JDG. When Twisted Fate hit that level 6, the Destiny and Gate first, we need to see some productivity. The first gank from Yagao is going to be pivotal for JDG's early game success, because we've talked about this. Both teams here are very much about the early game.
Yeah, they definitely are, and it's all about, you know, where Kanavi, where Shadow are going to be. Are they getting into the lanes? Are you looking to move from the lanes into the jungle to help that out and find those kinds of ways forward in that fashion? I do feel like for the side of LGD, though, especially for the Diana, Shadow needs to find those advantages early. We talked all day long already about LGD and JDG focusing on early game, getting those early advantages, but I do feel like Diana needs to get the ball rolling. If Viego, you're going to always have, you know, the Heartbreaker. You're going to have all that damage, the resets coming through, but Diana really has to make her name known in this game early on.
Yeah, for sure, and especially if she can get a snowball going, she's such a scary
it's
champion.
ridiculous.
But luckily right now, I feel like both compositions are not in a way where they're just going to get completely outscaled when you look at going into the late game. I feel like both compositions here are very much going to go down to the execution here, because both compositions want to do something different here. They're not just about the same where you can say, oh, but there's a Kai'Sa into the Ezreal, so the backline dive is going to be amazing. No, it's still the poke coming out from Loken on the Varus. It's a different kind of way you want to play it here. And we talked about some early skirmishing. Kanavi, he skipped some camps, and he want to fund Shadow onto the Grump here.
I love it. It's the early game you're looking for. You just got to get up in the face of Shadow, and Zoom has already moved down as well. Mid lane is locked in place, but they're still going to look for the fight. It's turning into a 2v2 as Xiye cannot come up. It looks like JDG will be able to get out of there without anything crazy going down. No flashes burned across the board, but early aggression is what I like to see from JDG.
I absolutely love the read from Kanavi as well. He knew he read Shadow like a book there. He knew he was going to be on towards the Gromp. He even had the vision. And now in the mid lane,
they found it. They found the gank. It's still the 2v2, but who's going to go down first? Xiye gets a beautiful haymaker, but it's not going to be enough. First blood goes over to Kanavi's Viego. He gets the resets, the face breaker, and that could be two. The burn. It's not going to be enough. Shadow outplays it by using his flash.
Yeah, the burn not enough, but you can see both teams here were so willing to be proactive. Xiye flashing forward when he knew Kanavi was in the river, so they decided to go for that play anyway, but the lockdown wasn't there. You can see they felt a bit too scattered, didn't know what target to focus. And as soon as the re-engage came through from JDG, they had more CC to work with. As soon as the reset came through from Kanavi with the possession, it was easy for them to clean the fight, and a bit encore already not getting Shadow. He gets away with the HP boss, but right now in the jungle, a huge lead for Kanavi. He still needs to clear his top side of the map. So essentially, we don't see the gold right now for Kanavi in favor, but it will be as soon as the camps has come through. And I didn't mean the gold, I meant the CS score, of course, because right now he's very much in a gold lead.
Well, and it's exactly contradictive to what we were talking about for Shadow, right? Like, you need to get the Diana onto the map. You need to get that name known that you are a trouble to be dealt with. And Kanavi says, before you even get a chance to speak, I'm going to step into your jungle, I'm going to aggress you and make you be on the back foot this entire time. And I think that mentality switch for LGD is going to be so detrimental if they can't pick the pace back up.
Yeah, and you can never see Kanavi, once again, one of the junglers with the highest kill participation in the league, already on for gank again.
Mark in some trouble here, has to burn the flash. They could have the follow-up, but not going to do it. Mark gets out with a sliver of health, and Kanavi gets another successful gank.
And now the question is, what are you going to be losing on the other side of the map? You can see Shadow already started to counter jungle here, but right now, because of the early invade from Kanavi, Shadow is only clearing level 1 camps. These camps hadn't got the extra XP after being cleared. So Kanavi right now is actually quite thankful for this. Yes, he's still losing camps, but he got the flash towards the bottom. He's getting the Drake now. He can clear his own blue side, and by the time he's going to be making his way up to the red side again in about 2 minutes, well, the camps are going to be level 2. So he didn't even have to go up and get that reset through. Kanavi's just super intelligent with the way he's playing this early game. He skipped those camps to get the early invade. He got the Crocs, or the Grump rather, from Shadow. He got the first blood. He got double scuttle. Right now, Kanavi's definitely in the lead between these two junglers.
Yeah, it's feeling really Kanavi favored on that Viego, and oh god, I can't tell you how many times Viego just scares the bejeebus out of me when he starts getting ahead. So still only on that one kill, not that plane breaking potential just yet, but you do have to keep your eye out on it. It is the highlight matchup that we said, but we are hitting those level 6s, Guldborg, and we are getting to Yagao's Destiny. I want to see that influence come through and see where they're going to be using it. Could be top lane.
Yeah, most definitely could. You can see every member is already making their way towards up there, but with Destiny Gate available, I don't think they can do much.
I don't think Garvey's have much of a chance here. He's got 4 members on JDG. Just rack it up in the highlight reel. That's another kill for Kanavi.
And they're just not able to find a punish right now. Every member of LGD moved up towards the top side, but there's no way you can answer the tempo of a Twisted Faith. So Loken right now, he's just stacking up a slow push towards the bottom lane. He's not going to be in any danger. He's not being punished at all. Every play for JDG here in the early game is just working out for them phenomenally.
It truly, truly is. It's looking like a JD favored game already in this early game, but we're still only about 7.5 minutes in. Just a slight gold lead here for JDG, and it's still the potential for Shadow to find his way into this game, find those engages that really matter. And honestly, at this point, you've just got to find where that can happen, right? You've already got one dragon that's gone over to JDG. You're looking for to stop at least some of that dragon stacking maybe early on, and try to find the influence from your team that can help out Shadow.
Yeah, and remember, you should still be a better team fighting composition. Yes, JDG is losing out on the roams right now and the pushes, but that's just the style of their composition. That's the strength of JDG. And for LGD, that strength should lie in their team fighting. They're only, quote-unquote, 1 goal down as of right now. If they can start finding the priority around their lanes while the Destiny Gate is down and not being punished when they're overstepped, they can most definitely get the correct objective set up. I think you need to halter your top side a bit, put more pressure towards the mid and towards the bot side so you can secure these early skirmishes around the Drake. Because right now you don't win out when the map is too split up. That is JDG's court. You need to make sure that JDG is as a group as possible so you can make use of your strength and composition.
And that's why I was wanting to see, if the map state was a little bit different and JDG weren't already running rampant, see the movement from mid and top to help Shadow get these objectives, get this early, at least, advantage in the neutral objectives down with this Rift Herald being up and with the dragons having come up. You still got 2 minutes for the Mountain Dragon, but you've got a lot of time to think this through. And I feel like Shadow, being able to buy some of that time and figure out the best strategy forward for LGD is what's important here. But it also feels like Kanavi has just had the say in where Shadow can show up and where he wants to play the game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Garvey needs to be a bit careful up towards the top side. You mentioned Kanavi. He's here to influence again. And they shouldn't go for a skirmish here because Yagao does have that Destiny and Gate again. Top side of the map is hard for LGD to play. They need to be careful. You can take a look on towards the mini-map. Both supports are already roaming up. They both want to fight for this one.
Garvey already took the fight. Kanavi has the flash. He gets Showstopper away from the fight, but Zoom has already killed Garvey, getting the needlework down. And yes, they do trade back. LGD do get their first kill, and it will go on to Kanavi, so a little bit of a shutdown there. But they take an overzealous play in front of the Rift Herald, and it's going to keep going. The Destiny's popped, and Shadow's in some trouble. He's behind the Rift Herald pit, and he just gets dragged down to the dirt by JDG.
Rift Herald does go over to LGD though, but I love the way JDG decided to pin out with that fight. They decided to stall it. They knew LvMao was on the way up top side, and as soon as Shadow had flashed over the wall, they decided, all right, they're split up. We have the Destiny Gate. We can just turn on a flashlit target now onto Shadow, and with 30 seconds on towards the Drake, the setup should be in control of JDG, but if you still want to force it from LGD, you can. You have the Rift Herald. You can always just deploy in the mid lane now for instantaneous pressure. But now, let's take a look on towards the replay again. We can clearly see fight being scattered in the beginning. They're trying to get a pick on towards Kanavi, and despite all the CC being used on him, he's still able to flash out. He's still able to stay alive a little longer with the Heartbreaker before getting taken out. And here's the crucial part. You take a look on towards the minimap. They are splitting the fight. They're slowing it down. And as soon as Shadows flashes over, they decide, all right, we don't need to fight Ma. We don't need to fight Xiye. We can just go for Shadow.
It's an easy pickup for the side of JDG. Able to get the overextending Shadow. And Shadow picks up the death. So not going to be the greatest idea for LGD. But as you said, at least they got the Rift Herald. So we'll see where they can use that one. Speaking of getting objectives, the second dragon for JDG will go over to Kanavi. So he was able to secure that Mountain Dragon. It will be an Infernal Soul. So a little bit more priority put on those dragon stackings.
Yeah, and once again, we talked about the early game a lot. How and who is it going to favor? Is it going to be pivotal to who's going to be leading the game? And right now, I think we both can agree that this game has been very much JDG favored, at least so far in the early game. And we've talked about it. How does LGD find their leverage back into the game? Well, you kind of need to stabilize the skirmishes, because if you skirmish around the top side of the map, you're just going to be losing. It's just that simple. Right now, that's where JDG has their lead. You could be attacking the weak side of the bot lane instead. And we can kind of take stock of the inventories right now, because you can see Divine Sundra has come through from Kramer now as well. The same for Loken with his Brawler's Cloth. Items are starting to come through, and as soon as they have, I think we could see more skirmishing. Oh no, topside skirmish again.
Shadow actually using the Moonfall and the Zoom. They just really want to get zoomed down and the shutdown over, and it will go over to Garvey, but JDG is right here. They got the Destiny Gate here as well as Kanavi. Kanavi's looking for a couple more kills. Give a one, and Garvey's going to go down to Yagao. Another 2 quick kills for JDG.
They keep playing topside. LGD, why do you put your pressure where you just don't win? This is the only place you don't win. Stop doing this. Every time you go up towards to create a skirmish with topside, there's a Twisted Faith in the mid lane that's going to move faster than Xiye. You cannot answer this tempo. You literally win team fights if you can stall out the game, when you can get those items, when you can create skirmishes around objectives as a 5-man unit. That's when you start winning. But they keep overforcing and just playing into JDG's hand.
Yeah, we'll see it right here in the replay. Shadow was baiting out the play the whole time, but it didn't matter because JDG were already on their way up. They saw what was happening to Zoom, and they wanted to get revenge, and it's just a bit caught with your hand in the cookie jar here for LGD.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It's just as easy as it looks like. Xiye, with the pressure in the mid lane, tries to get down some plating for himself, tries to get the turret, but LvMao is already up there. Loken has just been farming alone safely once again. Feels like it's been the whole story of this game where the AD carries are kind of just facing each other, just farming, or farming simulator, while the supports start roaming up to kind of help facilitate these skirmishes. But once again, LGD, they need to slow down the game. They need to make sure they're not creating skirmishes, because it's literally what JDG's composition is designed to do in a side lane.
Yeah, you're literally playing into their hands here for LGD, but they can find those objective fights. They can find those big team fights as long as they're not getting too far behind and sitting at 2,000 gold. Let's say you're still within striking distance of JDG as we're seeing a strike onto Yagao. The Solar Flare was used, but Kanavi is here to back him up. They're still committing onto Yagao, and that's a ton of damage. He finally goes down after all is said and done. Flash is coming out, and they also get Kanavi. LGD taking our words, bringing the team together, and picking up 2 quick kills.
Exactly, and the pivotal part here is that you're attacking the Twisted Faith. There is no longer anyone who can just teleport in and join the fight, because you're killing the guy that's usually the guy teleporting in and joining the fight. This time around, way better for them. They have the priority towards the bot lane. They're able to move the support up into the mid lane, and they find a pick. After the mid lane turret had been gone low with the Rift Herald, you get the pick onto Yagao, forces out the stopwatch, you get the flash. Really nice, but there's still answers to come through from JDG. They're getting the top side of the map. Xiye trying to get the bot side of the map. Yagao there to kind of stabilize it with the TP.
Will expend that TP to get down there, but Destiny Gate is up and ready to go just in case they need to join fight in the mid lane. As you see, Shadow is making his way to that mid lane, see if he could catch anybody overextending. But JDG just too quick with the movements, as you said, getting that top lane tower, getting everybody back to their map or their lane assignments here as well, and waiting for LGD to kind of get in their own head again.
Yeah, we can kind of take a look onto B-play here. Really good stopwatch to come out. Oh, actually, I think the flash would have just been better now that I look at it, because afterwards, when the flash is there, I mean, it's easy for them to follow up. And this fight does bring you more value than just the kills. It kind of puts yourself on an even footing, especially around priority, around objectives. And speaking of objectives, 20 seconds until soul point for JDG, and you can clearly see this time around LGD, they're feeling themselves. They want to be in here. They want to fight this one. We talked about the 5v5s. They're only 700 gold down. This is pretty much as even as you can get as LGD after a more disastrous early game, and they should be looking for fighting this one.
And you've got all your go buttons for LGD. You've got the team fight wombo combo that you're typically looking to set up for these team fights. So this is the moment, right? And you don't want JDG to get up to soul point on an infernal soul with the composition they have. So LGD are positioning around the northern part of the Dragon Pit, just waiting for JDG to start it up, maybe waiting for the bait to come out. And it will be the Dragon started up. JDG are the first ones to really do some damage to it. It's getting about half health, so LGD want to commit here. The Destiny Gate is popped. The Dragon's resetting. LGD take that as the go button. Look at that moonfall from Shadow! But is it enough? Look at the carries. They're still alive. Loken is firing on the back, but you've got Shadow going forward. And LGD, it's so close, but it's Kramer via Yagao and Shadow. But can they get Yagao? One more yellow card, one phase shift forward, and LGD take the fight.
And there you finally see the strength of LGD's composition. It's all about finding the team fights. It's all about keeping JDG grouped up and finding the easy kills with your go buttons. I will say though, Zoom made that very difficult for them with the Gwen. Did a lot of healing in the back of the pit and almost secure that fight for JDG, but here we see a replay of it once again. They get the pick onto Kanavi, does have that flash, but doesn't decide to use it. And as soon as the CC comes down, it's just about pressing all your buttons, dogpiling into the backline of the composition. And once again, take a look onto Zoom. He's trying to extend the fight. He's trying to heal up with the broken jet, broken Gwen. AP healing to come through isn't enough to do so as of right now. And as a full force, as a cohesive unit, LGD is able to find a fight in the strength of their composition.
And I love in the middle of that, Shadow makes the play, seeing Loken just free firing the entire fight on the side. He's just like, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Yes, he dies, but it evens up the fight there and actually turns the fight for LGD. So I really like the play calling, the execution coming through for LGD. We said it was a little bit easier to execute their composition. We finally see it come to fruition.
Yeah, we do, but the pivotal part here is that, yes, they win the team fight. Doesn't really feel like they win the war, though. They lose out on the Drake, and once again, JDG on soul point now. If you make any slip-ups towards the next objective, that's just going to be an early Infernal Soul for the side of JDG. And remember, this Drake will be spawning 21 minutes into the game.
Oh, that just sounds so scary to me, giving over that Infernal Drake over to the composition that JDG have. But LGD making a good fight for it now. Next time they take that fight, maybe they feel even more confident like they did to take the Dragon fight at least. And I really want to see that continue. But as you said, it's still feeling like JDG are in the driver's seat here. They have a lot of strength behind the composition, and especially just the communication that we've seen so far has been really good, except for Kanavi getting caught out here or there.
Yeah, just one small mistakes, but it does happen. You can't expect the perfect League of Legends every time. But for JDG right now, I would very much like to see them start to open up the map. 2 minutes still on towards the Drake, and they can still utilize that Twisted Faith, try to create skirmishes in side lanes, kind of to bait LGD in that. We've seen work for them several times already, but for LGD, obviously the objective right now is that you just need to not play into the hand of JDG at all.
Yeah.
Just let them go for their setup, but don't play into it. Just wait until this next Drake spawns up. Wait for the 1 minute mark. As soon as that 1 minute mark comes through, you start playing around the pressure in the side lanes, or in the mid lane and the bot lane. You start putting up the vision from Sett pressure, and with that vision, you start to set up the objective and put yourself in a favorable fight where you already have this stockpile composition that we've talked about.
So JDG are actually moving up towards the Baron pit. Baron is spawning here right this second, and they're moving in to make sure they have pressure towards this top side just in case they want to get into any shenanigans before the Dragon spawns. And I actually really like that from JDG. First of all, for the mind games of, you know, it is a Gwen Viego. They could potentially do a lot of damage to that Baron, but as well as JDG just utilizing their pressure around the map to now, after all this setup, maybe get some backs across, get that pressure moving down towards the Dragon pit, as we said.
Yeah, exactly. You can see it now. Bot lane pushed out, mid lane pushed out. Vision starting to be set up around the Drake, but also needs to be careful around the Baron. Luckily, both team composition don't really shred that. I will say Gwen is one of the champions that can do a lot of damage towards the Baron. But outside of that, there's not that consistent AD damage you usually would get for a Kai'Sa, where you kind of think of the Baron just getting melted. So with 50 seconds on towards the Drake being spawned up, I would expect a lot of teams to go for their final reset now. You can see some of them already coming out on towards the map now, and we should take a look at the inventories right now, because this is where the final battle, or at least one of the crucial ones, would take place right now. 2 items, it seems like, have been completed by most carries here.
Yeah, you're just waiting on a couple here and there, but mostly everybody does have that 2-item spike. You also have the Serpent's Fang completed second there for Loken, so the shielding is going to take a little bit of a hit. But that's exactly what you want for JDG. And with that item spike coming through, you also do have the Zhonya's completed for Shadow. So those wombo combos are going to get even scarier in front of the pit.
Yeah, Sonya's Hourglass is going to be absolutely crucial, because it allows yourself to just get in there, in towards the enemy team, without feeling too afraid of risking your life. So many spells off for everyone. They're just going to start.
They got LvMao already out of the fight. That's one of the major engages, and the Chains of Corruption used out of Loken. Destiny Gate comes out just to figure out the solid ground that JDG can stand on, but they're taking a 4v5 here, and it's into some trouble. They might just want to give over this Dragon. As they do, LGD move forward. Xiye goes in with the Haymaker. You got the follow from Shadow. He goes gold at the last moment, but he is going to die. LGD need to get out of this fight. Mark goes down next, but look at the resets. Look at the combo. Xiye is single-handedly bringing LGD to the front of the line.
It looked like a fight where JDG was able to turn it around. They got one reset. They could get a possession onto Kanavi, but Xiye, you said it yourself there, able to get a huge showstop onto 3 people, and together with Kramer, just clean up the fight. Kramer on his Ezreal, having a redemption game for himself, haven't had the best reputation on towards this champion. But LGD, in a position where they looked overconfident, finds a great fight once again. And it starts with this pick on towards the Rakan. Really nicely done here from the side of the Lee Sin.
And there's no pick out now. There's none of that peeling as much for JDG. And I love the idea that Xiye just says, we're going. And he brings everybody along in the backpack, and you see a lot of the re-engagements here, even Shadow getting a little bit overextended. But Xiye with the re-engage here, with the damage done, look at that showstopper. It completely changes the fight, and LGD are able to pick off the rest of the members with Kramer almost at full health.
Yeah,
we got a fight coming back
we go
into
straight
live,
into another
though.
one.
JDG didn't like what I was saying, but they do also lose a member. They're kind of trading down here, but they have found the advantage, and they will also find Xiye. They get the shutdowns they needed, they get the gold influx they needed, and a triple kill for the 11-3 Zoom Gwen.
What just happened? We came out of a replay, and all of a sudden, it's just JDG back onto a fight. They're winning. No jungler alive, though. Remember that. So a steal could still come through from Kramer here. This is going to be a tense situation.
See if Kramer can do it. The miracle steal, the damage done with the mystic shots. Can he get it? No true shot barrage. He doesn't get it. He could also get caught out here, but not going to do so. Just have the phase shift away. The Baron is secured by JDG.
Yeah, we're starting to become really close just because Zoom had put up the hollowed mist. I think we kind of see the replay coming through. They're actually setting up a little bit of a pick, and there you go. They play the map once again. They play around the vision pockets that they have created. And this is just JDG being really creative in a situation where they know they don't win out on full-on fight 5v5 situations. So they create themselves a man advantage. They play together with the Destiny Gate, and just all in all, a really nice pickup here.
And I want to eventually do a check-in on the gold for Zoom because I got a lot of shutdowns there in that last fight, as well as just has a lot of gold in general from the farm, from the kills, everything like that. This Gwen is going to be stacked almost on 4 items now as well, and it's something we really have to watch out for. Zoom, though, in some trouble. Let's see if that happens here, going on 4 items. He's taking some serious damage with him, but it does not matter. The Haymaker comes through, and that will be Xiye picking up the kill.
Yeah, that's possibly the best thing you can get out of that one as well. It's kind of one of the disadvantages with the 1-3-1 composition. Yeah, you create a lot of pressure, but you also put yourself in a position to kind of get cross-mapped on, like we just saw them here. You do still get the mid lane turret, but I think that would have been inevitable either way with the Baron buff, and having one lane freed up just offers you a lot more of less pressure around the other side of the map. So you can see JDG not feeling themselves and actually deciding to back off here. Really nice pickup from LGD that kind of disrupts the Baron push-up. But as soon as Xiye is alive, or Zooms rather, is alive again, they are still going to be having 1 minute with this Baron play. They're still going to have Baron buff up for the next Drake that spawns in 1 minute, at least for the setup.
And at this point, like, you got to go right back to it. It's like going to your favorite place, your favorite restaurant, wherever you want to go. But LGD need to get back in front of that Dragon Pit before that 4th Dragon goes down to JDG. And they've set themselves up nicely. They have a 7-3 and 7 Xiye on the set. They even have a 6-0 and 5 Ezreal for Kramer with the 3-item spike, working on that 4th. These are some power spikes that can really come up big for LGD. But again, every single time we talk about it, it's always about the execution. Where is that wombo combo length? Who are you able to catch out with it? Those are the crucial questions we have to ask for LGD.
Yeah, and despite right now JDG being the one with the Baron buff, it's actually them who's allowed to push this one in. Ezreal and of course Xiye is going to be the men to look at here. It's just going to be about that engage we see to come out from LGD. And on towards the side of JDG, we've already talked about it. They don't usually win out on full 5v5. They need to be creative with their picks. We need to take a look on towards the key ultimate. Change of corruption from Loken. The Destiny Gate to find a pickup is going to be crucial for them, and they've already started it here. Destiny Gate on towards the flank. He's trying to come from behind.
Nobody knows he's there. He gets the yellow card, and here comes JDG. Kanavi gets kicked away. There's the solar flare. It's not going to land on anybody. LGD looking to peel away, but they still got to deal with LvMao, and Shadow goes down first. This is going to be an all JDG fight, as they are not going to lose a single member up to this point, but that's 3 kills going over to them, and they're following up with more. Zoom really zooming forward. Almost going to die. Actually, Kramer gets the sniper shot onto LvMao. He's still surviving somehow, but finally dies to Kanavi's Viego. And JDG slammed the door shut for LGD in this game 1.
Yeah, you know, we just talked about it. They need to be creative about their engages. They will lose out on a full-on 5v5 just like this. But Yagao, Destiny Gate behind enemy lines, find the pick onto Shadow, forces the Sonya's Hourglass out, so you won't have to use that as an engage. Shadow still no cooldowns here. They could still not end this one. They're coming alive now.
Tower going down. Moonfall's huge from Shadow, but he just gets eliminated off of Summoner's Rift. They're going to look for some KDA plays, but Loken and Yagao know where the true prize lies. Xiye's trying to make his dangest impression of a carry potential, but that's game number 1 going over to JDG.
And we talked about both compositions here. JDG should be a bit harder to execute, but you know what? They don't care about that. They actually have the intelligence, the experience, and the macro to pilot that composition. They created all the early skirmishes that we needed towards the top side, kept creating man advantages with Yagao's Twisted Faith to get up there and get that early gold. And we talked about both junglers, you and I. The Kanavi play to come through, to get the pick onto Grom, to get a pick onto Shadow, to get the picks up towards the top side of the map. Kanavi, once again, a huge facilitator of the early game for JDG.
And controlling that early game, forcing Shadow into the plays that Shadow didn't necessarily want to make. They kept going back top, Guldborg. They couldn't find it. And it was all about that mental warfare in the early game and JDG's big brain plays to pull LGD across the map. Yes, LGD had some great team fights. That's what their composition was set up for. And we got to see that a couple times, but the way that JDG just picked them apart every single time was so beautiful.
Yeah, remember how some of the wins has come through from LGD so far? It's very much about them getting themselves ahead in the early game, but this time around they were shut down in the early game, so it became hard for them to kind of fulfill a position where they could find these favorable team fights. Yes, they did get it around the third Drake, but crucially, once again, Kanavi was still able to smite that just before they lost that fight. And once again, with the creative setup, with the few pick potential they had in their composition, JDG was able to make it work. I think, as LGD now, it's not necessarily back to the drawing board, but maybe you're getting rid of some of these crucial picks. Maybe the Twisted Faith is too much to play into. If you will keep forcing top side of the map, maybe not leave these objective or map play champions open for the side of JDG.
I am still shell-shocked the fact that we got Viego and Gwen both for JDG. And I know there's a lot of, high risk, high reward with those champions. You can fall. We've seen Gwen's lose. We've seen Viego's lose. But I feel like in the hands of JDG, and especially in the hands of Kanavi, that Viego pick is super spoopy. And you don't want to be giving kind of that combo over. I don't necessarily know if that's where LGD focused for the second game, but finding picks that can actually have that sustained throughout the game is what I want to look for. Yes, you can look at that early game. That's where LGD have played so strongly for, but you can also find those junglers that even if you don't get ahead in the early game, you can still mean something in the later parts. So I want to see how LGD kind of changed that one around. You see that gold graph? It's like riding a roller coaster in this one, and I wouldn't have it any other way. A 28-minute win for JDG.
Yeah, but he was very competitive up until that point. Once again, I think LGD's kind of had a lack of identifying the win conditions of JDG. We already talked about it. They played into a lot of the win conditions for them. So going into the second game, it's definitely not only about just identifying what your own core strengths are, but also what your enemy wants to do. So you're not necessarily playing into that. I think they could have punished bot side harder. I think they could have attacked Yagao early as well, because we did see that towards the mid game. We did see them go for some of the better plays, but this time around it just felt like they came a bit too late into the game, which is not usually something I would say about LGD.
It's not, and that's what's crazy to me is like you saw the complete dragon control, right? I mean, LGD were able to get the one, but it was JDG getting their early dragons, getting that early control of the map, and I think that's what played so well into their advantage, and exactly how we laid out for them. One of these teams is going to get ahead early, and they've got to find a way to close it out. We're going to close it out here for game number 1.